Over her long career, Nina Foch appeared in classic films such as Spartacus, The Ten Commandments, and An American in Paris. She received an Academy Award nomination for her performance in Robert Wise's Executive Suite. In 1965, Nina Foch arrived here at USC to begin teaching directing, and I was lucky enough to get into one of her first classes. Even as she continued acting in film and television, Nina's passion for teaching lasted for over 40 years. Her course was immensely popular because she developed her own unique style, drawing on her experiences studying with Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, and Uta Hagen, and being directed by such icons as Vincent Minnelli, Stanley Kubrick, Cecil B. DeMille, and Otto Preminger. As I began directing, the tremendous value of her teachings became evident and how important it was to preserve them for future generations. We became close friends, and at a cinema department event, we ran into my former classmate, George Lucas, who invited us up to Skywalker Ranch, where we discussed creating a DVD of her course. He agreed to finance it, and on January 10th, 2002, we began taping an entire semester using a crew of USC film students. We filmed for 8 hours a week for 15 weeks, and this is the result.
Okay, so what are we going to do this semester? I'm interested in teaching you breakdown. This is the part that directors don't know when they come on the set. They're not ready to be on the floor shooting. They haven't done the homework that's necessary to be there. And I want to help you to know the technique and then work on it and work on it, and you'll grow in it and finally find your own way. Then we're next going to break down Casablanca, just a little bit of it, so you begin to see the technique that I want you to use. And after that, we're going to have a casting class in which we bring people in for you to read in your first scene. Because I find when you're casting, directors don't know how to behave. And what happens is they insult and degrade the actors and then don't get good readings out of them, that sometimes they pass by wonderful people because they've made them so miserable that they come in and read badly when they might be the very person you need most. And then after that, you choose the scenes you're going to shoot, 2 character scenes preferably, in one setup. Now, learning to shoot a scene in one setup, and I'm talking about an organic camera, if you know how to stage it properly in one setup, then you will be on top of it and you will know when to punch in and get your other shots. You will be stunned at how bad your first attempt is. But you will also be delighted at how much you learn, because we find that people get much better very quickly. Well, not very quickly, but they do get better. Okay, what else do I want to tell you? Okay, that's it. When you read a script, you need to read it in one sitting. You must read it in one sitting the first time you read it. You must read it in one sitting. If you don't, you will never have that experience that the viewer has. And after you read it in one sitting, you need to write down the story. Now, that's not easy. That's very hard, in fact, to really write the story down in 3 sentences. You need to start by writing it down in 15 sentences, if that's how many it takes, right? And then pruning it down. And I mean just the story, none of this critical studies stuff. You just want to write the story down as if it were a folk tale that you're telling. Just the story in 3 sentences. After you've done that, you must think of the moral of the story. You should never go to the movies and not come out and figure out what the moral of, you should be practicing this all the time. Now, everybody won't have the same moral, but there are many reasons that you need to know the moral, because you need to know whether it's worth spending 2 years on or 3 years on. If it turns out, because the more you dig, the more you're going to see about that. And if it didn't matter to you to begin with, if it wasn't saying something that's in your heart, that's the truth of you, then you're going to be in really bad trouble the minute you really begin to open the material up, right? So you need to find the moral. The reason you need to have the story in 3 sentences is because you should always test everything you do against that story. Every scene should be tested against that story. because you don't want to get led astray. Because if it doesn't move the story along, you don't need it because you're going to lose it later. Right? You want to be sure that you've got that. Then you want to know the spine of the story. What is the spine? The spine is the armature on which you put the clay. And the spine is what everybody is doing in the piece. The reason I choose Casablanca and haven't been able to find anything else to choose is because it's all so terribly clear in that script, so that it's an easy way to find the spine. All right, now your homework for next week is to read or see Casablanca and write down the story in 3 sentences, find the moral, and toy with the spine. Put down something, see what you come up with. So what is the story of Casablanca? Please read me your story. Ingrid, did you write it down, the 3 sentences? What is yours?
I actually only have in 1 sentence the story.
Then I know you haven't got the whole story.
That's true. An expatriate bar owner living in World War II Morocco has his life interrupted when his ex-lover shows up unexpectedly.
No, we need the story, the whole story, the story to the end. See, that's not going to help you while you're shooting. That's not going to help you decide whether this scene that you now should stay in the story. You need the whole story. Christine?
Rick is content being the self-centered owner of a popular nightclub until his long-lost love Ilsa arrives with her husband Laszlo, a patriot on the run from the Nazis. Ilsa and Laszlo ask Rick to give them the letters of transit so they can leave Casablanca to safety, but Rick is still hurting from Ilsa's abandonment and refuses. The love between Ilsa and Rick is rekindled, and Ilsa offers to leave her husband, but Rick, seeing that Laszlo, I'm going to run on sentence, seeing that Laszlo has great potential to save lives, decides to let Ilsa escape with Laszlo while Rick himself stays and enjoys the free French.
Okay, pretty good. Probably among the best that we're going to find. What's the moral?
Self-interest isn't limited to yourself.
Ha! That's interesting. Jeremy, what's the moral?
I said it's the big picture that counts.
I don't know what I think about that. Craig, what's the spine?
I put each character struggles with the conflict between what they want to do and what they know they have to do.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. To do the right thing. Could that be?
Yeah.
If you wanted to state it in 2 active verb partner.
To do the right thing.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want you to read scene 8. And you're reading it in order to tell the story of the scene, because not only do we have to tell the story of the whole script as we do breakdown, but then as we reach each scene, we need to tell the story of the scene. Because as you're shooting, anything delightful that happens, oh, look at the light through that window. Oh, wouldn't it be fun if we, the most dangerous beginning of a sentence in the world, wouldn't it be fun if we, something marvelous that you see on the day, can get you in big trouble if you don't adhere to the story that you're telling and adhere to the story of the scene, what you want for the story of the scene. Okay, so what's the story? Go.
The French police search Casablanca for the man holding the letters of transit. They stop a white civilian and ask for his papers. When the man cannot produce them and runs away, the police shoot him and continue their search.
You connected it to the letters of transit. Good girl. Okay, so you got your hands on this. This is pretty clear. You don't even need 3 sentences. But 3 sentences is your outside limit, because if you have any more, you don't really understand the scene. Now, this 3-sentence thing has been going on since I was a kid. When I was first in movies, we were talking about this. We talk about this in the theater. You know, this is an important matter, this 3-sentence thing. So you really mustn't skip that point. Don't go straight away to the breaking down of the material. What is the intention of the police? Which I'm going to put at the head of scene 8 in a box. To get to the people before they know we're coming. I'm going to write it in pencil. In a banner, I'm going to write all the intentions like that. because ultimately that's what they play. Even after you've broken down everything into beats, the fact is you finally play the intention. That's what you do when you play it. You do the preparation for the entrance, the intention, and then you're in the scene. Now let's talk about the man. The two other policemen have stopped a white civilian. Now what is the intention of the white civilian? Which I'm going to put at the head of scene 8, again, in a box. What's his intention?
To get away.
That's not, out is not a direction. Away is not a direction. Where is he going?
He wants to get away from the clutches of the police.
No, why was he out here in the first? You don't give me any preparation for an entrance then. I can't act what you just gave me. I don't have enough information. Where was he going? What is he on that street for? He's on the street for a reason.
Maybe he's going to get illegal letters of transit so he can get out of Casablanca.
Okay.
And suddenly he sees the police there and he realizes...
And he can't run.
Right, yes.
Okay, okay.
Because
he's
his paper's
going to
fixed
the bar because George behind the bar knows a guy who knows a guy.
Who can get him new letters of transit.
Okay, so he has to be going somewhere. Again, out is not a direction. In is not a direction. You have to be going to something, to do something. That will fill the beat before he gets caught. Okay. The two policemen stop the white civilian. What is the action of the policeman? May we see your papers, please? Now, this scene takes a while, so we can't go immediately to a hostile policeman. We got to start easy, because we got 2 or 3 speeches here. It has to escalate. So never let the horses race right away. So what is his action? And remember, the action is stated on a line like that, right? So that you can never see the line ever again without seeing the action, because it's annoying that it's not straight. If you wrote it out straight, you wouldn't see it as easily. Okay, so back to the point. May we see your papers, please? What is his action? Yes, Norman?
I was going to say, to probe.
To go by the book. Why is it to go by the book? Because we got 2 or 3 more beats where he's trying that. And if I go right away to probe, I've got nowhere to go. Right? So if the policeman is to go by the book, now he has somewhere to go when the guy says, I don't think I have them on me. What is the action of the civilian? To buy time. To buy time. So I'm going to write that, again, at an angle, because the intention of the white civilian is to get to George, to get him to give me the papers. And this is just a beat or an action. I call them actions, some people call them beats. Depends on whom you studied with that you liked the best. Very good. So what is the action? In that case, we'll have to ask you to come along. In that case, is to get it over with. Why do I want to get it over with? Because I'm hungry if I'm playing that character. Well, you can tell your actor you're hungry. All you can think about is lunch. And the action of, we'll have to ask you to come along, is to do it gently so he doesn't put up a fight. Now, why are you doing all this when this is really the actor's work? Because you need to be sure that they're giving you what you want for your story. You need to be able to talk precisely to them. And you absolutely 100%, 1,000% need it if you're working with people that aren't very good and that you're doing that all the time. As we are working with directors who don't know how to do this all the time.
Do you tell the actors?
No, so you don't tell that you need to have this information, and you only need to use it if you're not getting what you want. Because they can bamboozle you. You know, they can look marvelous, and you watch them, and God, they're thrilling. But they're in another movie because you didn't have the 3 sentences and you've forgotten your moral, right? And so you get seeing it the next night, and you're screwed. You've already broken that set. You can't get back there, and you're screwed. All right. So you see what we've done now. We started very simply to go by the book, to do it gently. I don't want to fight. But we, in the audience, because you've been holding the horses, are going, oh, oh, because we know this is going to end badly. We know it. So it's just possible that what's the action of that line? Just to stall, right? Yes, here they are, to play the game. What's the action of the second policeman as he examines them? To finish him off. To finish him off, because he knows he's full of shit. Okay. He brings out his papers. The second policeman examines them to finish him off. These papers expired 3 weeks ago to prove I'm right. Right, you'll have to, all right. Now you need to write the rest of the sentence because you don't start a sentence without knowing the end of it most of the time. And so he'll have to know, he's going to say, you'll have to come with me in order for that to be a broken speech. And also we must never leave the responsibility to break the speech to the actor. All the actor needs to hear, these papers have expired 3 weeks ago. You'll have to, and that 3 weeks ago is the cue for the civilian to break away. Because by the time he tells his body to move, you're into, you'll have to come with me. Okay, suddenly the civilian breaks away, runs wildly down the street, shout, halt, then he keeps going, and he's shot.
May we see your papers?
I don't think I have them on me.
In that case, we'll have to ask you to come along.
Wait, it's possible that, yes. Here they are.
These papers expired 3 weeks ago. You'll have to come along. Halt!
Now, pictures, first place, a lot of very, very good actors simply don't take a good picture. Well, of course, I immediately think she needs a nose job. But then I've come from the era of motion pictures when everybody needs to look as best they can. And you also don't know if the person is going to look like that when they come through the door.
Hi, Sean. Hello.
You can't think that that's their picture of themselves. You can't say, oh, God, this person doesn't know themselves at all. I don't want any part, because it may have been chosen by an agent, it may have been chosen by some other person, and they listened to them because they thought they knew better. So, does she have real breasts or are they false? I'm asking all kinds of cruel questions. I need to. If I'm going to hire this person, I'm going to have to understand their insides. What kind of a person gets breast enhancement? The hair is the hair of the period. Well, actually, it's dated now. Are they comfortable with themselves? I'm not going to turn the picture over till I've let the photograph do whatever it's going to do to me. Now, you know when you make somebody comfortable at your house, you have decided that your house looks nice, you've done all of that, they come, and you now put all your attention on the guest, right? Please come in, sit down. Can I get you something? Let me take your coat. All of that is to make your guest comfortable in your house. That's what you want to do to this actor.
Thank you for coming. Welcome to the class.
Because you want this actor to be so much at ease that they're going to give you the best reading they can. Now, the pictures, usually on the back, there's something that you can hang your hat on to make a chat.
Children's theater. You know a lot of children's theater.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Did Spoon River Anthology. Just a bunch of monologues, basically.
Sometimes the news will do it for you, but something to chat about.
Then I'm going to get a new fuel door on my car because I pulled it off my car when I forgot to take out the gas pump.
You want to make the actor comfortable.
And it doesn't even feel like a campus.
Yeah.
You just like step outside and you're in the village.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was even in school. I don't know.
On the other hand, you don't want to be saying, I see by your resume that you don't want to question them closely as if they feel they're being tested. You're doing everything you can to make that actor feel that you're thrilled they're there, you feel honored that they're there, and let's have some fun, right? That's what you need to make them feel. Now, what are you looking for when you cast? Anybody done it and have any thoughts on that? Yes, Craig.
One thing that I like to see is if I do a read with an actor, sometimes even if they give a great read, I like to go back and give them a change to see how well they adapt to it, because sometimes people can give a good read one way, but I really like to see if they can play with things and be able to adapt.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to ask you that you read everybody twice. and give them some suggestion. It can be a suggestion that's off the wall that has nothing to do with what you're ultimately going to do with that part, right? You just want to see if they can take your direction, just as you said.
Go on with what you were doing. I'll tell you what to do later. Very good, thank you. Would you like to read it again for us? And that'd be okay? Sure. Great, we're going to just make a few adjustments. That's fine. You're actually playing a very big man, a heavy, kind of large, thick-set man. And he's incredibly uncomfortable. It might help to think you're sitting on a thumbtack during the scene, if you could think of that. You're sitting on a thumbtack. And maybe it would help to think of Ramona as a small child. You're trying to convince a small child to hold your hand, a small, very frightened child. So you talk to her as if she was a child. Okay? Okay. And when you're ready, let's try again.
The way you ask them to go again, you don't say to them, read it again.
Very nice. Very nice. Thanks. Let's try it one more time. And
Would you like to try it one more time?
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely.
And this time, George needs Martha more than anything in the world, and you know that. So I want you to threaten his entire world this next time with your ability to leave him at any moment that you wish. Okay, so I really want you to put him in his place and show where the power lies in the relationship. Okay?
By the way, you're very bossy. You know, you talk to her in a very bossy way. Very harsh and very much like you're the alpha male in control. You would get the hairs on the back of my head would rise if you spoke to me that way. You know, when you told her to do it again, you have to be more loving in the way you do it. You may very well have been loving, but what I got was, do it this way. I mean, all right, ho, hope to. I got that from you. Do everything you can to be as polite and grateful with them, that they've honored you by coming. Because remember, an actor is a human being who is being judged by things that they can't change. Like if an architect builds a building and you say, I don't like your building, they say, oh, that's okay, I'll just go back and make you another. But if you say to an actor, I give them the sense that you don't like them, what you're criticizing is their body, their voice, things about them that they cannot change. They're stuck. This is all they've got. So it's a very difficult situation to be in, because any rejection is a complete rejection of you as a human being for the actor. And actors have a very hard time with all of this. When I was younger, they didn't do this to people who had reputations. They didn't, for people like me, to go in and fucking read for some kid who doesn't know shit, you know, this is very hard to do.
Are you down here on that homicide? If you're allowed, you know, to discuss that.
Oh, yeah, but there's not a heck of a lot to discuss. So, Glenn, what about you? You married? You got kids?
Well, yeah, I was married. I was married to... You mind if I sit over here?
No, Glenn, why don't you sit over there? I'd prefer that.
Could we read it another way, I think?
Sure.
Okay. The feel of a small town, they speak. I would suggest if you could try maybe a little bit slower talk. And you're pregnant as well, and you're kind of overburdened.
The air around you sits comfortably because you belong in it. Right? You can rest on the air. There's no doubt who you are and that you belong in this space.
Oh, yeah. Long time ago.
Great. What brings you? Are you down here on that homicide? If you're allowed to, you know, to discuss that.
Oh, yeah, but it's not a heck of a lot to discuss. So, what about you, Glenn? You married, got kids?
Well, yeah, I was married. I was married to... Do you mind if I sit over here?
No, Glenn, why don't you stay over there? I'd prefer that.
So I really want you to put him in his place and show where the power lies in the relationship. Okay?
Make me another drink, lover.
My God, you can swill it down, can't you?
Jesus.
Look, sweetheart, I can drink you under any goddamn table you want, so don't worry about me.
Great, thank you very much.
Would you just try something for me?
Sure.
Would you beat the shit out of him? Just beat the
Literally?
shit.
No.
No, yeah, beat the shit out of him. Not literally, but
Yeah.
yeah. Just try the beginning of it that way, would you please?
Sure. Make me another drink, lover.
My God, you can swill it down, can't you?
I'm thirsty.
Jesus.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. The reason I asked her the third time and told her to beat the shit out of him was to see if she even had that in her.
Come on in. I said, get over there.
And she's so far away from that. You know, of course she has it in there. She just isn't in touch with it in any way, shape, or form.
I can't even see you. I haven't been able to see you for years.
Because we all have the ability to play a scene to beat the shit out of you. And it really doesn't matter how you get to the right thing. You know, if I said beat the shit out of him to somebody who was in touch with themselves, they would give you what Martha is supposed to do. But no, she couldn't go there at all.
Good, good. Thank you. That was good. I'd like to take the first part of it again. And this time, make her jealous.
Okay. He asked me questions.
What kinds of questions?
Questions about sex.
The scene is, she came in to report this crazy guy and what he did. But as she sees her sister take it badly, she decides to make her jealous, if you wish.
Okay.
Get it? All right, now why do I know that it's got to be something like that? Why? Because a scene is two truths coming together and changing each other. And the way he wanted it done is no scene. It's already, you don't need to do the scene after the first two lines because it's all done. And I need to see if she can get something from her. So they need to feed off each other. Remember, partners are like the socket in which you put the light. Your scene comes from your partner. I don't act, I don't do anything. I just show up with an intention, and the person that's in the scene changes me. Keeps doing things that change me.
You know what I mean. You don't even know him.
I feel like I do.
That doesn't mean you do. You can't possibly trust him. He's perverted.
He just sits around and looks at these tapes. What is the big deal?
Right, and then it becomes a scene. Otherwise, it's not inevitable. If she enters with it all done, you've got no scene.
I remember one of the first projects or first assignments was to bring in a personal item that was important to you in some way. And you learned about partnering and what it was to partner, and it was just an inanimate object. And it was incredible how open and honest people's work was in this first exercise, because Nina sort of pushed you to really go to some different kinds of places than we were used to at that age.
I want you to describe the object. I don't want you to say, well, you take the lid off and then you can write with it. I don't want you to describe what it can do. I simply want you to describe the object.
Top to cross, there are 4 letters, I-N-R-I.
What I'm trying to get you to do is really look at it.
It has coarse edges. There's dirt ground into it.
I want you to really partner the object. And once you've partnered, or I think you're partnering the object, or I'm giving up on you, one of the two, I'm going to say very quietly, reminisce. Reminisce.
I think it was
And then you're free to do anything you please. Talk about anything that comes to mind.
And then I disappeared from view completely.
Now, what are we doing while this person is up here talking balderdash?
It's called the Predator, and it's supposed to protect you from yourself.
We're trying to figure out what his or her intention is. 2, active verb, partner. And then secondly, you need to listen very carefully and figure out what it is that he or she is trying to do. Now, why are we doing this? Not to psychoanalyze these people. This is not our job around here. We're trying to figure out what to say to get another actor to do this scene. What would we say? What intention would we give an actor to play this scene? You also need to see, what are they doing? Do they have any characteristics?
It started a stupid little collection that we have of panda bears. I think we have 7.
Watch their images. See them, see something, and tell you about it. You'll see that happening throughout this exercise because it happens all day long.
So
this is
this is my object. There are 2 silver dog tags, but unlike military where you would have your name on them.
Just describe the object.
They're etched with a number of lines, and these spheres right here represent the planets. One of the lines points out Earth, and I've never been able to figure out.
Just describe the object. I don't want anything around it. See, this is about remaining extremely disciplined in describing the object, and just stay with the object.
Okay. It's connected with this chain, which leads to a ring of bronze color, and the initials that are inscribed are a C and an H.
Go on, describe the object. I want you to really look at it.
The necklace itself, the chain which links it, is comprised of a lot of very small balls, and you can detach it right here. The material of the ring, I believe, is bronze.
No, you don't believe. You take
the
a
material
position.
is bronze, and the dog tags are steel, and I believe the necklace
You don't
itself,
believe anything.
The necklace is steel. The ring itself, the C and the H, are in a decorative kind of Renaissance font.
Not kind of anything.
The CH are in a decorative font.
I'm trying to get you to really look at the object.
This steel latch would detach this from this.
Reminisce.
And this was actually given to me by my dad. These dog tags actually serve as they're like a map, like a AAA map that showed this is the Milky Way, and in this solar system, this would be the planet that I came from. And so he gave those to me, and then he attached this, which I didn't expect. And I remember when I was younger, I was really surprised, but it was a ring that he had made. So that is my dad's ring. And he passed away this year, so I remember when I was looking at this, my dad and I argued quite a bit about a lot of stuff, and I think I gave him a lot of shit. But one of the things that, you know, I wish I had done more was just tell him, you know, all the things about him that I really, you know, that really meant a lot. And this was one of those things, so.
So he shut the door. So you're supposed to go on with this exercise till I stop you, not you stop.
I can keep going if you want me to.
No, it's okay. Very good. Thank you. Now, you can't keep going. You'd have to connect with the object again. So all right. Partnering an object is a release, right? He was able to talk. He was very happy to share with us because he had a partner, an object, something to make him feel less naked up there. It's again the business of a prop. It's like a prop, right? And the more he can identify with it, the more he really understands it, the more comfortable he feels. So what do you think his intention was? To active verb partner. Yes, Christine?
To convince you my dad and I had a lot in common.
That's good. That's good. See, now, you want to think about what he said and find a way to give it to your actors so they can play that beat. If he had partnered with us a little bit more, it could have been to convince you that we really did get along. I like the contentious ones because they're more fun to act. Anybody else have a thought? Because you need to start talking in intentions. You need to be able to talk that way to an actor. If you talk to an actor in results, you're only going to get the result that you see in that material, which is a shame because you hired that actor to do it, and you want as much as you can that actor can bring you. And for you to be talking in results, you're not going to get the benefit of the actor that you hired. You've got to make a clear line of what the actor needs to do, but give them enough freedom to do it in, so that you will be very surprised by the results sometimes. Sometimes a very sad scene will end up completely in laughter, or vice versa. Okay, he almost went there a couple of times, didn't he? I thought we were going to get somewhere, but it didn't happen. Actors are more likely to let you in on the, because this is their entire mechanism, right? I'll show it all to you.
It has a large ball on each end of it. In between it is a 2-inch shaft. Both of the balls are also solid rubber. They are 2.5 inches across.
Reminisce.
To me, he was like my best friend. I had him through a divorce, and he came with me everywhere. They said he couldn't live outside the hospital, so I had to put him to sleep. And he couldn't move, and when I came in, they said, he's not even going to recognize you. And as soon as I walked in, he was like half asleep, and then he opened his eyes and he looked back at me, and I kneeled down by the table, and he put his head on my shoulder. So I held him for about an hour. Then the doctor said, "Are you ready?" And I just said, "Well, I'm never going to be ready, so."
So did you see, what do you think his intention was? Did you notice when he said, he put his head on my shoulder? He had to find his shoulder to make that work, right? He had to partner his shoulder. And his hand went there because he had the shoulder. There was a beat there where he was so moved that he was very angry at himself. That's a result. I can't play that. So what can I play at that moment? What beat can I play? To get myself together, goddammit. I can play that. Now, mind you, we are not trying to psychoanalyze him. We are simply trying to steal what he's doing and give it to an actor and give it to them so they will give us what he did. All right, now let's talk about a scene. You never saw Baryshnikov enter like this and then start dancing, did you? Of course not, because Baryshnikov started a life out here and brought that life on. He was doing something before, so too that you have to choose where you came from, precisely what the scene was that you were in before you entered. And therefore, it follows that when you exit, you don't go off to nothing, so you don't start the exit and then walk off like you see actors do that very often. You have to be going somewhere. Out is not a direction. So you have to choose what it is that you're doing out there. Where you're going to, what's the next thing, because the impetus that makes you move there happens here. All right, it's 5 in the afternoon. All of the television screens, you know, with the ETAs and stuff are on that wall. So is the clock. The security is behind that screen, which will be moved out further. And on this side are all the arrivals and departures. I want a 1-minute scene that you're going to play for me in this space. All right. Now, what was your story?
I was leaving for college and was leaving my girlfriend behind.
Well, you certainly can find more truth than that. Where were you just before you entered?
Just before that, I was getting my luggage.
He had nothing on his entrance. His entrance was completely empty. Nothing was happening. We waited, and he picked up his fucking bags, you know. And I didn't care. Did you care? I didn't care. Because there was not a lively, alive person who was in the moment, as they're always saying, in this scene. And he's got to be still nervous because he's not busy. He's not doing anything. Now, that doesn't mean you always have to be doing something, literally, but you have to be doing something in your head at the very least. Okay, so what could he be doing? What bag did they make him open? Did he have to open something? That'll help us.
We'll have to open this because it's a CD player, so they want to check it.
And that's when you find her picture. See, now I've made that organic. If he has to open it and he has to put it back and he sees her picture, that will bring him on. Because you can't stand here and say, oh, John, oh, Jane, that's coffee. You know, it won't do, right? Now, look, you can work and rehearse with all of this business and then decide it's too much. But in the meantime, you have a person who's alive, who's in their life, who's using themselves, right? And then exciting things can happen. Do you see? Start again. So you're thinking about whether you're going to invite her for Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
No, see, look. I want you to be putting that away as you enter. I was giving him something to do on his entrance.
Not just picking this up? So
No, I want you to be doing that as you enter.
Because I was going to put this on and then put it away.
Well, it's empty. Don't do it. It's not. Watch the next one. Do it my way. You'll love it. Pick up the bag. Now look at the thing. Is it on time? What's with the thing?
It's on time.
Okay, so you're a little bit late. So, yeah, well, you're going, you don't know where you're going. Where are you going?
Gate G3.
Well, then you need to look here and see which direction to walk in. Okay, it's better, isn't it? Up and down is good. Sideways for no. It is better. Yes, all right. Do it again.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I don't see the person. That thank you didn't go. When I speak, I draw a bead on the person I'm going to speak to and I let go and the arrow goes there if I'm dealing with the person that I'm throwing it to, right? Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I just talked to somebody. He went, thank you. There was nobody there.
Louder?
No, louder is not, don't talk to me about louder. Never say louder to any actor ever in your life. You see, what happens is, if it's too soft and doesn't work, it's because the actor doesn't know why they're saying the line. There's something wrong with the way they're partnering the person to whom they're speaking. Try everything you can not to go to louder, because you'll have an actor doing it louder instead of the actor's thank you, thanking the person, okay? Do it again.
Thank you.
Okay, pick up the bag. No, so? No, you're walking before you know where you're going. That makes me look bad. Look, move, speak. Write that down. Look, move, speak. Look, move, speak. Look means not literally look, but indeed have an image. And the image forces you to move. Now, in this case, going to the plane, he only needs look, move. But too often you'll see actors move, speak, and they didn't look until the middle of the line. That's why look, move, speak is so very, very important. The idea is born. You want to see the birth of the idea, and that forces me to move. And if that isn't enough, then I have to speak. Because, hey, John, I needed to speak because just doing that I had to get his attention. Okay, very good. Do it once more. But find the gate. Where's the gate? The gate, that's not the gate, but the gate is there. See, choose two places. Okay. Let your hat get knocked off, huh?
Thank you.
Put it away. Okay, it's getting better, isn't it? It's getting there. It's getting there. What are we doing? We're filling every single moment of it. Because the things that are best about me happen without my knowing it. I have to plan everything around that so that best part of me can show.
Everybody on this show cries now. Right.
Just a note about letting people take too long to make their transition. I give them something to do off stage so that they can do it quickly and come on. Because the longer they take to prepare, it only makes them nervous. It doesn't make them better. And the way you fix that is by giving them something to do off stage. Put the magazine down before you enter, or put your hand in the other sleeve of the jacket before you enter. Because if you touch the jacket, suddenly your feet are on the floor and you're real.
Don't you even see? I'm finished. I'm fucked. 24 hours ago, I was hot. Now, I'm some cautionary tale. You see this jacket? You like it? I don't need it anymore because I'm cloaked in failure.
Frankie, I need to see you beat yourself up.
Okay.
You need to beat yourself up. That's the problem with your beginning. You would throw yourself against walls if you could. You would beat your head against the wall. You know, this is where you are. Okay.
Everyone on this show cries now. If you feel bad you tested positive, quit doing blow. If you feel sorry about your baby girl, why did you leave the mother?
Wait a second, let's go back. I told you you're throwing yourself against walls.
Okay. So,
You weren't. You're not in touch with your bodies. Because, of course, the world doesn't tell you to be. Jesus, you need dance technique. If you're going to be an actor, you've got to do that.
everyone on this show cries now. Rod, if you feel bad you tested positive, quit doing blow.
Okay. Throw yourself into the fucking chair. Boy, you can barely move. Pull up your pants. Make your belt tighter.
It's fine.
Get with the program. Okay.
Everyone on this show cries now. Rod, if you feel bad you tested positive, quit doing blow. Don't you even see? I'm finished. I'm fucked.
Okay, good. It's getting better. Now, you have some prop here. You got suitcases and shit. Yes, you do. Okay, get them. His crotch is around his knees. That may be fashionable in an adolescent gang member, but you're not. Pick up your fucking pants. Okay, my dear, come on. Throw yourself into that chair. Don't get rid of the bag. Keep it in your lap. Just throw yourself into it. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, terrific.
Everyone on this show cries now. Rod, if you feel bad you tested positive, quit doing blow. If you feel sorry about your baby girl, why'd you leave the mother? What are you still doing with me, Rod? Huh? I'm finished. I'm fucked. 24 hours ago, I was hot. Now, I'm some cautionary tale. You see this jacket? You like it? Because I don't need it anymore. I'm cloaked in failure. I lost the #1 draft pick the night before the draft. They're gonna teach my story to other agents on Do Not Do This Day at agent school.
Okay. I made you angry, I hope, and so you did it. All right, I made him angry on purpose, and it got better. Now he knows that if he goes that far, he didn't die. It didn't kill him to do it that far. So now he won't be afraid of it next time, right? Because prior to this, he was afraid of it. He was kind of in it, you know, and I knew that Frankie could do that. Now you know how the scene's supposed to feel, right?
Yeah.
And he'll be able to do that quite easily. Now, the hope is it'll get even bigger for me. But it got it started. Now, I'm still worried about the way he makes gestures with his hands all the time. I'm going to put something more in his hands. You know, he could have a file folder that he wasn't letting go of, right? Because you're making these kinds of gestures and they just don't mean anything. But good, that was good. Goodbye, get out.
Do you really not like my pants?
No, actually I don't.
Anyone else want cheeses?
But I would never have told you, except I needed to use you like that.
You need to be able to face.
Okay. Now, for those of you who were not here before, who intend to stay here, I hope you intend to stay here, otherwise I've wasted all these ergs on you. We're going to do scenes, and you will photograph it and show them, and that's going to give me an opportunity not to be critical of you so much as to show you, to get you so you look at things with the right kind of eye. See, he did this, he went like this. You know where things need to be fixed and what to look for and how to correct it. Those are the things I will give you as you show them. Let me remind you, these scenes are to be done in one setup.
Thanks for all your help.
Now, that's very hard to do well, and I want you to make the camera be organic, that the actors move the camera, like the eye does.
I can drink you under any goddamn table you want, so don't worry about me.
To learn to do a scene in one setup is so valuable. Anytime I tell anybody, professional directors, that I teach that, they say, oh, God, that's so important. I wish I'd had that class, because if you know how to shoot a scene in one setup, then you know how to shoot it in a lot of setups, because it teaches you what you really need to punch in for and stuff. But here we're assuming that you're shooting this scene in one setup, because you're not going to immediately be Sidney Lumet or Sidney Pollack and allowed to think and do all kinds of things and have lots of shots. That's not going to be your life. I'm going to assume you're just going to be a working director where you don't have the time or the money to shoot a lot. You have to get it in one setup. There's no other way you can do it. So you got to learn how to do that, because that's going to be the meat and potatoes of your life. Goodbye. Get out. Now they should be talking, right? The scene should begin now. Okay, here we go. All right, now, she has to figure out with the newspaper that she would indeed fold the page then, not just because she heard the footsteps of her sister coming out and now it's time to start the scene. So you have to backtrack that. You have to play it out and figure out how long it takes you. Just back it up and see why you were folding the page. She's looking at the whole page, right? She sees the headlines. She sees the headline here. She's looking at this one here. And then she's looking down here. Oh, that's interesting. I want to watch that.
I have a question, because every take, she does it differently, so...
Well, then she's never was doing it in the first place. What I saw on the screen was an actress waiting for the scene to begin. And I can't have that. I can't have that. All right, now let's start here. The audience will not wait for you. They will not wait for you. They will not wait for you. All these wonderful exits and things could make the scene very interesting if it started. You know, enrich it.
now look, they're sitting there.
Because she's hurt, she's walking.
I know, but not that long. No way. Any picture you make, if you make it this way, you're going to hate your producer because he's going to come in there with a good sharp knife, and your picture will be maybe a third less long, a third shorter. I knew there was a way to say that.
I can't believe Jennings pregnant. I'm still in a state of shock. Can you believe this? No.
All right, now what, see, I know she's not in the scene if she puts the things down and then goes to her hair right away. The gesture of going to the hair, I know we're not in the scene here. We're not really playing the scene because it wouldn't happen that way. See, for her, touching her hair is a way to ease the nerves.
Cha-cha. Do you ever think about what might have happened?
All right, now look here. This whole business of cutting this apple and putting the dirty centers, cores, back in with the fruit is very disturbing. Were you disturbed by that? Who was disturbed by that? Look at this. Everybody. See all these people? They were all disturbed by that. Now, if...
Again, she does only twice.
That's enough. Once is already too many. It's like being a little bit pregnant, right? She needs to go back in the kitchen and get a goddamn plate. And that would make the scene better.
What's his name?
Look, over and over again, you pound me over the head with, they're having trouble talking, they're having trouble talking, they're having trouble.
I did ask them to pause. This is the way...
No, I'm talking about all of this whole long pause, if what you say is true. You tell it to me once, I've heard it, right? Maybe tell it to me twice if you're not sure I got it. But don't tell it to me 175 times. I say, yes, yes, get on with it. I can't sit there for it. You know, I can't, not even in the most foreign of foreign films. All right, now, here, let's go back just a little bit. I want to wait till she sidles over. Yeah, that's it, okay.
Do you ever think about what might have happened if you had gone abroad with what's his name?
Tell her the name.
Likai.
See, again, there's not another great whole pause. Look, John, look, Jane, see me act. Here we go.
What if I told you that
Don't tell me anything. This is home. There's nothing wrong with it.
This is home, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it isn't everything.
But it's Dad's everything, and I think I know him far better than you do.
Now she could have got it. I said everything. I did everything. And I think I know her far better than you, and go and get the plate, right? See, there's a good place for her to get up because she's as exasperated as I am at this moment.
Yes. My heart was broken by Likai, it's true.
You probably think I'm pathetic for not getting over it. But at least I had a heart.
Now, look, all I'm thinking about now is that the apple's turning brown. You know, as I was watching it, you were the same thing? Yes, right. See? I'm not alone in this. Acting is behaving. It's revealed through the way she peels the apple and the way she puts it on the plate and the way she hands it to her, that tells us more emotionally than all these big pauses. To watch her peel that apple, to watch the way she puts it, will tell us much more than her pauses and great dramatic moments. Right? Okay, here we go.
Ever since Mother died, you act like you're supposed to be my parent instead of my sister. You shut me out. I thought you hated me.
All right, see now, if you hadn't had all those pauses before, that one would have really paid off. If you hadn't had pause after pause after pause, now everything is so profound that it means nothing. Nothing means anything if everything is so so deep. My major note to you is that business goes with the acting to try to keep the business going on and fill it with business. And then secondly, you must be very, very careful with your pauses. You've got to keep them so that they matter. Otherwise, we are so far out in the hall with the popcorn, right, if this takes so long to do.
You know, I was thinking about taking a poetry class at the Every Woman's Village.
Oh, I want to do that. Yeah, we'll do it then. Because I was thinking something.
What?
I feel really bad about not getting my diploma on. I was thinking about getting my GED. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, to graduate for
Yeah. Because I want to do that. And I think you were right.
God, that would be so great for you, roller girl. You know, you should really do that.
What was that move? Why did she have to move back there?
She didn't. She just did.
And I think you were right.
Okay, then you should have said cut, right?
Yeah, but the energy was so good in this one
that you didn't.
I didn't want
Okay.
it. I miss my two sons. My little Andrew, Dirk. Oh, God, I miss them both so much.
See, again, there's another hole. There's another hole. I mean, if she goes to the door and she just says, I miss my two sons. Instead, she went, and then she had to think of it. How do you help her to get the idea? The minute you shut the door, you think of your two sons. You think of them closing the door to their bedroom when you put them to sleep. Okay.
I always felt like Dirk was my baby. A new little baby.
See, now, does cocaine, obviously you've taken some in your life. Does it, I mean, from our other discussions.
Yeah.
And it's fortunate we have an authority in the room. Because does cocaine make you does it do that to you like it's done to both of them?
Yes.
That's what it does to you?
It makes your thoughts go faster than you can vocalize them, so you have trouble.
I feel really bad about not getting my diploma on.
Well, do they have to both be
thinking about
having the same response to cocaine? See, that's what's bothering me. I'd have to do some more research because I don't feel that I can talk about that. But I feel it's wrong that they're both doing the same thing.
And I love him. Really, roller girl, I mean, I really love the little jerk.
I love you, Mom. Amber, I want you to be my mother. I'm gonna ask you to be my mom, and I want you to say yes, okay? Will you be my mom?
Sonny.
Okay, I think that when Mom says, I love the little jerk, I think she needs to plead with Roller Girl on that line to make it easier for Roller Girl to say, I love you, Mom, because they're connected already. It seems now that the I love you, Mom comes out of the blue.
I love you, Mom.
Now, of course, it doesn't, but I would like to feel the logic of that. Now, what is that? That's, again, the rule. Our actions come from our partner's need. So since she's saying, I love him, I love it, that causes Roller Girl to see that beautiful face saying, I love him. And that causes her to say, I love you, Mom.
And I want you to love me as much as you love me.
Yes, right. Okay.
I don't want to do this anymore. God, I can't. I just can't.
The camera anticipated the move,
keep-
right? We didn't
Just
discuss
keep
it.
going tonight because it's all over. It's all over. There's just too many things.
See, she leaned in.
Neither. I love you. I love you, Mom.
Part of the reason I like that move too is because it's somewhat comedic a little bit.
Let's go for a walk.
The move, because it strikes me as funny going back and forth, and it's just sort of a
Yes,
fun
except
moment.
suddenly there's somebody else in the room.
It's true.
The minute you move that camera independently, there's somebody else in the room. Now, that's too much. You got so many things there. You piled Paleon on Ossa. What is that? That's a classic allusion to mountains in Greece. Okay. It takes too long. Takes too long.
Hi, do you want a cup of tea before you go?
No.
Coffee?
No, thank you.
Orange juice? Probably not. Cold. Something cold. Coke?
Now, if you'd taken your time, you could have worked that out. She needs, of course, to be further over there, so you have a better shot, and that means fixing it. And she says, but I don't approach a sink that way. Well, we cheat. It's better than real life. We cheat. We do it this way. When we watch it as an audience, we don't see that cheat.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Apricots soaked in honey. Why? No one knows. Stops them tasting like apricots and makes them taste like honey. There you go. Yours, if you want them.
No.
Do you always say no to everything?
No.
All right, now she has a terrible habit. She spends her entire time looking at the floor. She needs to be told that the camera loves her. The camera loves you. You really look beautiful. I want the camera to see you because it really loves you. Maybe that'll get her eyes up off the floor. I don't know what else to do with her. You would have seen that in the reading, and you would want to think twice about that because things like that, habits we can't change on the set because that's coaching, and it takes time. You have to have them over and over again. Finally, you can break them of that habit.
Thanks for all your help.
Yeah, you're welcome. And may I also say, haven't we?
That's too considered. If it takes that long to tell that answer, may I also say, heavenly, it's got to come out because everything died. We're really talking about that ugly word pace that you can't use with an actor. We're always discussing pace.
So if you saw him perform that, what would you tell him for the next?
I said, you've been thinking that she's heavenly for a long time, so you don't need to find the word.
It's my chance to say it. After you've read that terrible book, you're probably not going to be coming back to the shop.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well...
See, this fucking hair thing, it's enough to drive you mad. Isn't that wrong? Don't you feel it's ruining that moment in the scene? Women are now, they've got those horrible razor cuts, and then they're always yanking at their hair to pull it out of their face. So you got to fix the hair so they don't have to constantly put their hands to their face. It's so annoying. And you can take a little bit of hair, tuck it under here, make a dancer's knot, and then put 2 cross bobby pins in it. That hair will never come forward, but it will still look like it's falling forward. Okay.
It was nice to meet you. Surreal but nice. Surreal but nice. What was I saying? Coming.
Now, of course, that was fake, right?
That was the first time he did that. We hadn't talked about it. And he, you mean the sock
Yeah.
thing? The way he explained it was he actually remembered that it was in his pocket. So
But it would be better if he started to put his hands in his pocket and then saw it. Again, sequential linkage has been denied. Because why did he put his hand in his pocket? So that he could conveniently find that? No, he's just a guy who's putting his hands in his pockets. And then he sees it, which he didn't do. Okay.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Did you forget?
See, she's looking down again.
I forgot my bag.
Oh, well.
Here she's looking down again. Look at that, look at that. In the old days, they said, don't look down before the Stanislavski method. Well, they were right, because when you're dealing, I know the floors here. Yes, if they're steps or something, I'm going to look down. But as an actor, I shouldn't be doing that either. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Thanks.
She looks down again.
I'm really sorry about the nice but surreal comment. Disaster.
Don't worry about it. Oh, and best not to tell anybody about this.
Okay. All right. No one. I might tell myself, but don't worry. I won't
Bye.
believe it.
Okay, very good. He wasn't doing anything before she entered. I mean, if he could just be bouncing that football, you know, just as long as he was doing something. He needed to be alive before she came into the scene. And you need that bit. You need him to be alone in that bedroom. You need that. And the only way that can happen is if he's doing something, right? Okay.
I guess this isn't the bathroom, is it?
It's down the hall.
How are you, Benjamin?
Fine. Thank you, Mrs. Robinson. Look, the bathroom's down at the end of the hall.
When did she get the idea to sleep with him?
I think that before she even gets to the party.
Couldn't she get the idea right here?
That would put more on the screen.
Yeah.
Could it be possible that she decided she was going to sleep with somebody at that party? And then when she opens that door, decides it's going to be Ben?
Well, that'll give us a better reading on that first line. Because as it stands now, it's dead. And needs to be more fun. She needs to have more fun with this, with that line. So here we go. And he needs to be less aggressive than he is.
Thank you, Mrs. Robinson. Look, I don't mean to be rude, but...
I don't think he's going to be able to sit back like that. I think he's got to be uncomfortable now, right? He needs to be profoundly uncomfortable. And if he just sits up a little bit so he's uncomfortable in bed, then it will do it for us.
Such a pleasant room.
Thank you, Mrs. Robinson. Look, I don't mean to be rude, but...
Is there an ashtray in here?
No.
Oh, I forgot. The track star doesn't smoke.
So where did she put it? See, I don't see her not knowing what to do with it.
Doesn't smoke.
I don't see that happening. Where am I going to put this? Well, oh, there. I didn't see that happen.
Is it a girl?
Is what a girl?
Well, whatever it is you're upset about.
Just sort of disturbed about things.
In general.
That's right.
Now, of course, she's now got to woo him. And she's not doing that. She's got to be warm and loving. I know I have a cousin who, when he was at the University of Leiden, I got to know him rather well, and I was everything he wished his mother could be. I was always asking him many questions about himself, allowing him to talk endlessly about himself. We've become very close. His wife is a good friend of mine, and their children, and they named their first child after me. It was wonderful. You know? No, Foch, actually, in their case, because they live in the Netherlands, F-O-C-K, which is my real name.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, see, I'd see her walking out saying, congratulations.
I didn't want her to be walking and saying that at the same time.
Why not?
And then speaking away from the camera.
Really? Why not?
I thought that the words would get swallowed. I didn't like it was too much going on.
Okay.
Now, what I would have believed is if she was on her way out and then she stopped and said congratulations
Okay,
and
all
then
right,
went on.
I can do that. I
would
buy that better than what I see here. Okay.
Can I ask you something?
What?
Will you take me home?
What?
My husband, he took the car. Can you drive me home?
Here, you take it. Do you know how to work a forward shift? You don't?
No.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, that's it. You really see how eager he is to go, too, which is nice. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, very good. See, now her job is to get that lit. She needs to get that lit. That's what she's doing. She's getting it in her mouth, and she's getting it lit. All of her concentration is on that. Here we go.
What happened?
I'm not good at goodbyes.
I didn't see him make sure that it was, that it wasn't lit.
He had better takes, but this was probably the better take for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
You're the last of my good old-time friends. Alexia went to England with Deep Purple. Did you know that? Even Sapphire somewhere. Well, she left with all the Quaaludes.
he was faking that. You know, she needed to really let go.
Sapphire
You needed to tell her,
somewhere.
let go. Force him to pick you up. And so tell her. She's going to make you pick her up. Okay, and I also feel that you need to see her in his shot. So somehow she needs to get in this shot to listen to the phone, see that she's not interested in what he's doing, and go back to the couch and then fall over it. Because she needs to be in this shot.
Yes, I need a doctor, please.
Oh, doctor.
What room? 702, 703, both rooms. Either
Or
room.
else he could take the phone and go to her, and then she could slide out of the...
This is Mr. Rugburn. Oh, Rugburn. Yes, my wife had an accident with some Quaaludes. Okay, I'll do that.
Come on,
get up.
Okay, he needed to move faster, right? He needed to go get her. So one had to have the sense that she hadn't quite yet fallen on her head, that he just saved her in time. Because she looked so comfortable, he had no need to rush. The truth, his body knew the truth, see? Here's where his body has to lie. It has to think that she's not quite there.
In the unlikely event of a water landing,
You will be required to wear your safety vest.
keep going.
Please keep all stowable luggage in the overhead compartment or in the seat in front of you. Oops.
Okay.
Doesn't he have to walk her around the room? It's later that he does that.
You know, in the actual film versus the script, the scene's written differently
Oh,
than what made it in the movie. Like, they cut out all this airline talk, and then at one point, instead, she just says, like, why doesn't he love me? And, like, rather than
Yeah.
this whole.
I see.
Now that I have your attention, I know you've heard this before, but I've never said it to anyone who legally didn't have to say it back to me. I love you, and I am having trouble sharing you with rock and roll. And I'm about to boldly go where many, many men have gone before.
Listen, you have to be very careful with a joke. Now, you didn't necessarily do it then, but a joke can't have any air in it. When you're getting to the punchline, you don't want that audience ahead of you.
So you have to be very careful. Know at which point the punchline, the joke is, and don't let us hang because you won't get the laugh you know. These to boldly go where I can take my time over that because the audience isn't ahead of me. And then many, many men have gone before. See, we don't need to wait for the gone before because in that case the joke is in the middle, so you don't want to hang around too much with the gone before, right? Sometimes by changing the line, you can save the joke for the end. You can't here. There's no way you can change that because it has to be that setup from Star Trek or whatever it was. Was it? Yes, Star Trek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, honey.
Now, what the hell is he drinking for? If he had any partnering going on with her, he lost it. Because when he says, hello, honey, he doesn't mean hello, honey. He's making fun of her, right? Yeah. But that moment has to be very tightly partnered, and the minute he takes that goddamn drink, he blows it. The character did not take that drink. This actor was uncomfortable in the seat, which he should have been. And instead of saying, oh, God, this feels good, I'm uncomfortable,
Hello, honey.
let me ride with this, the sign to the road to Rome was there in front of him, and he went to Venice, you know.
Why don't you come over here and give your mommy a big sloppy kiss?
Now.
I want a big sloppy kiss.
No way is he going to drink. That's when they're really together. Okay, here we go. And of course, we have another shot here.
Where are these people? Where are these people you invited over?
They stayed on to talk to Daddy. They'll be here. Why don't you want to kiss me?
Now, why does he say, where are these people you invited over?
I was having him essentially blame his behavior on the fact that she invited these people over.
Isn't it to get past that moment?
Yeah, it serves that dual.
So then you should, it's got to do one thing. An actor can only do one thing at a time. That doesn't have to do with all the controls. They can be on their head, they can be turning somersaults, playing with the baby and everything. But as for an action, you can only play one at a time. And the action, of course, is to cover that moment where I was exposed as detumescent, because she is detumescent. He doesn't want to sleep with her, and she's hard up for that sort of thing. So he needs to get by that moment.
Well, if I kissed you, Martha, I would get all excited. I'd get beside myself, and then I would take you by force, right here on the living room rug.
Talk about detumescent. This is the put down of the. And he's playing anger instead of to share the joke. You need to keep him from having any anger, because this is the first scene, and you have to know that he has been putting up with her. It's like he's on antidepressants. It rolls off his back. Because if he really started to face all the things that aren't working for him, he'd implode. And he knows it, so he finds ways to live life. We agree, yes?
Make me another drink, lover.
My God, you can swill him down, can't you?
Oh, I'm thirsty.
Jesus.
Look, sweetheart, I can drink you under any goddamn
Now,
table you want.
you, of course, didn't want to go with him. You wanted to stay with her, you know, because she's got to watch him get up, you know, and then say, you prick, is what she's saying, right? And I need to see that on her face. See? Okay.
About me.
Martha, I gave you that prize years ago. Why, there isn't an abomination award going that you haven't won yet.
Okay, he stopped to start acting. Now they're going to talk to each other. He's making her a drink. So if anything, you're here watching the two of them. And move the furniture a little bit.
Wood floor.
Pardon me?
it was in the actor's home, the man.
You can move the furniture.
Yeah, but his hardwood floors, they had just had refinished, so I was kind of on my tiptoes.
Well, you need to tell people, if you're going to use their home, that you're going to move the furniture around. If you're going to photograph something, it's a sure bet that you got to move the furniture. You got to have enough hands, by the way, to move the furniture.
I swear if you existed, I'd divorce you. I can't even see you. I haven't been able to see you in years. You're nothing. You're a cipher, a zero. I can't even hear you.
Sights than you with your skirt up over your head, or your heads, I should say.
Okay, now I don't believe this, right? She spent a lot of the scene doing that. Down the right-hand side of the page, her arrow is to clean the room. So you needed newspapers, you needed all kinds of things.
Party, party.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Get over there and answer the door.
You answered.
I said, get over there or I'll fix you.
You.
Come on in. Get over there and answer the door right now.
All right, why did you say, come on in? What did you do? She didn't talk to the door. Now, she had a bow and an arrow, and she had no target.
Come on in.
You need to partner things like that. Hello! You need to partner, right? Come on in. Okay. All right, now why is she still here? Why doesn't she play with her hair? Why doesn't she fix her hair? Or is there's always something? Now, what could it be? What is it with me? Oh, I have to keep doing this to this hair, otherwise it lies down flat. I have to make it curl. So that's what I'll do at the last minute, right? Okay, so everybody has something that they do. That's what she should be doing instead of with her hands folded.
Just don't start in about the bit, that's all.
What kind of language is that? What are you talking about? What bit?
The bit. Just do not start in about the bit.
What, you're trying to imitate what you
This is so passive. What do you mean? What do you mean the bit? What are you talking about? Wait, just don't start the bit, because you're going to... See, it has to really... You really have to be on each other.
You leave the kid out of this.
He's just as much mine as he is yours, and I can talk about him if I want to.
I advise against it.
Well, good for you. Now get that door.
You've been advised.
Good, now get that door.
You should just don't do it, all right? You've been advised, right? It's what it's got to be. He's got to be going to the door. Again, that's another false exit, right?
All right, love. Whatever love wants. But isn't it nice how some people are so polite, even in this day and age? Isn't it nice that
He's this way, she's that way.
people's houses, even if they do hear some subhuman monster?
It's important to know that that's foreplay for them. This is how they work their way up to sex. This whole thing is foreplay. Okay. Well, you don't do foreplay with your hands crossed. Or if you've been doing it that way, I advise you to stop. Okay, let's see what I have to say. I have to tell you, I really am so tired of sex scenes. Now, hands. Who's sick and tired of seeing naked bodies huffing and puffing? Hands.
Yeah, but if it's done well.
Yeah, but even done well. I'm through. I fast forward. I can't.
Yeah, actually, I did fast forward through a sex scene the other day, so I have to raise my hand, too. I wasn't consciously thinking of it.
I'm interested in doing it myself, because the trouble with sex is that when you're doing it right, it's not photographable. Because you can't, everything that's interesting you can't see. You can't see the faces, you know, because they're it's very hard to find sexual positions that are interesting to watch. Well, of course, the porn films. But I can't believe people sit at parties and watch porn together. You know, you walk in, suddenly you walk into what you think is the library, and there are men and women looking at porn. I can't believe it. You think, do you require this to do wonderfully something that's wonderful to do? You know, what's the matter with you? Here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now then you have to ask yourself the question, does she want to have an orgasm, or is she just putting up with him? Ultimately, what is it that you wanted?
Well, she's gonna decide whether or not she's gonna start, because she would normally start faking her orgasm then.
I see. I get it. Okay. I think it might have been fun if she straightened her eyebrow. If she, I don't know, does she require both? Could she be straightening her eyebrows as you know? Yeah. It's just that for him to be doing this and her to be straightening out her eyebrows, it's. Right. I was just trying to pick something ridiculous that, and at some point that. But it would even be better if he was having paroxysms of delight, which I didn't feel. It probably would be good if he were, because then it would be fun to see this disinterested face. Right. You know what I mean?
Is everything okay?
Uh-huh.
Are you sure? Because you didn't come this time. Did you?
No.
Oh.
I'm a little nervous about the way he touches her. I don't know that hand. How long after an orgasm does a man still find the woman an object of love?
Well, that's the thing is, though, I think he really loves her.
So yes, but so he needs to.
Oh, so the
touch is, that is the killer every time in love scenes. The way people touch each other. They have to touch each other with an appreciation of what they're touching. It's got to be that they feel the flesh under the skin. You know what I mean? Because you do. You feel the flesh. You feel the movement of the flesh under the skin, right? And I just feel that this hand is not interested in the loveliness of her shoulder. Now, what do men tend to say to women? They say all the time, "You're so smooth, you're so soft." That's why, for instance, homosexuality is impossible for the heterosexual woman, because she's used to touching the hardness of and the slightly hairiness of that flesh. And if she doesn't feel it, it's unpleasant, it's awful. Once somebody made a pass at me and I thought, I should maybe give this a try, because who knows, you know. I was 30 or something. They started to kiss me and I let them. And oh God, it was unpleasant, completely unpleasant, because they were so soft, you know. So I said to her, "Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you see, because prior to that, I'd always had to, you know, say, I'm sorry, I'm not, it is not that you know, I mean, you, so you walk out, you know, that's what's so annoying about having passes made at you by women. You haven't had that yet experience?
No,
oh God, I used to have it all the time.
But you were this very famous, beautiful, like, movie star. I mean,
I was the worst. That's why finally I said, all right, I'll give it a try, you know.
If it's not you, it'll be the next one.
Because you came every other time.
Now look, how upset is she by this? She's done this before, hasn't she? She's faked it. No, I mean, not only with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think she really needs to start putting her face together. I do think that's one of the funs of this scene, that you haven't gotten as much as you might have out of, you know? Because if she's straightening her hair now, you know, here we go.
What? Hey. Hey, tell me.
I didn't exactly come all those other times.
Now, do you hear that didn't? Didn't instead of didn't. That's a very insidious one. That's a class one. You know, the biggest secret of the United States of America is class. because we have so many classes in this country, and we are all very conscious of them, and yet we go around saying, oh, this is a democracy. The fact is, it's not true. Underneath, sitting underneath, is all these class distinctions.
What, you faked it? How many other times? All the other times?
I would want her to try to look at him to decide whether to be truthful or not. And it would be hard for her, and that would be interesting to watch, too. You know, I mean, physically hard for her.
Oh, I see.
You see? So she'd try to turn her head to catch him out of the corner of her eye. You know. Now, it's got a problem. It'll be ugly, because she'll have to twist herself. It'll make her face ugly. Now, the question is, how ugly? And do you want verisimilitude or beauty? Okay, because acting is behavior, right? All right.
Oh, sweetie, do you have a physical problem or something?
Me? What makes you assume it's me?
No offense, but every other girl I've ever been with, they haven't had to fake it.
A lot of women fake it. And up until 5 minutes ago, you didn't know I was faking it.
Whoa.
I think we see too much of him, because if we see that much, we're waiting to see the rest. For that second, you're thinking, oh, we're going to see his penis now, right? You know what I mean? So I don't think it matters in this scene, because it's already so over the hill that the minute we have people pumping away, you know, you're finished with any of those considerations.
What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Now, the question is she angry?
She's
just sick.
She's resentful, I guess.
She's fed up.
Yeah, it's just
And she's
that
going to
she
take it
knows
out
she's
on
gonna
him.
babysit him.
So then it's okay. Yet another guy that I'm going to teach where the clitoris is.
Look, Josh, a woman's anatomy can be a little bit complicated.
Yeah, I know women's anatomy. I'm a doctor.
You're an eye doctor.
So funny.
Okay, well then, give me some tips.
What?
Tips! Come on, give me some tips to get you off. I'm not some charity case here. I run marathons, for Christ's sakes.
Okay. Well, do you know how a clitoris works?
Yes.
So then you know where one is, right?
Yes, yeah.
Well, it's about 2 inches from where you think it is.
Oh my
All right, now, see, I would choose that line to be one so loving. I mean, up until this time, I'm resentful of the son of a bitch.
Relax. I'll show you.
Okay. Okay, very good.
I was married to Janet Cooksey.
Glenn, why don't you sit over there? I prefer that.
Huh? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. Just so I can see ya. You know, don't have to turn my neck.
Oh, sure, I understand. I didn't mean to, you know.
No, that's fine.
Now, you see the change in that scene. What is the change in that scene for her?
Well, she's concerned, but then she's standoffish.
She came in concerned to deal with him, but then he came on to her, so she has to get away.
Right.
Okay, so, in other words, two truths came together and changed each other, right? He gets defeated, she gets away. Please, look at the scene that way. Look at the scene. What's going on in this scene? How do these people change? They have to change. They simply have to change, or the scene needs to go. Or the information in the scene, which is necessary to the story, needs to be put in some other scene that is a scene. Remember that. Because if you get a scene that doesn't move like that, that's when you begin to lose the audience. Come on, you know yourself that most of the pictures you go to, somewhere along the line, they start to lose you. If they're lucky, they get you back fast enough that you don't go forever.
What is false exits? What does that mean?
Okay. Wait a minute. I got to figure out where I'm going. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to leave now because I have a meeting with Elizabeth Daly, all right? So if you just sit among yourselves. I mean, I didn't, I'm sorry, but she just called me, you know. I have to go. Sorry. Oh, listen, before you leave, Anna, will you want a snack? I've got some almond rokas over there. Oh, and there's some cashew nuts, right? Oh, listen, why don't you... How many did I do? 8? 5. Those are false exits. So I have to keep Elizabeth Daly in my image for off there, right? I see her down on the 2nd floor, right? So she's always with me in this thing that I'm doing, right? So goodbye, right? Oh, there's, I brought them from home. Oh, they're the ones that are not wrapped, you know. I bought the big can because I thought, oh, they'll all be wrapped, they'll be good to bring to school. I opened the goddamn can, they're not wrapped. They lead you on with that. Did you know you could get them at Rite Aid? You know, okay. See now, the way I did it, I didn't know where I was going to do it. I had no clue. Do you know, I didn't know I was going to do those things. I just kept Elizabeth Daly alive for myself down there. I saw her, and I was going to her. And that made me do those things in the mid. Sometimes, did you notice, I did them in the mid-sentence. I started to go back. Okay. Because I kept Elizabeth Daly alive and Anna alive. Both were alive for me, and they were forcing me to do that. They forced me to do that. I had nothing to do with it. Okay, that's why it looked so real, because it was real.
Did you take your clothes off?
Yeah, I did.
Cynthia,
What?
why did you do that?
Because I wanted to.
Watch out when things are sexy. Like 2 people have come in here and tried to be sexy because it's a sexy piece. Of course, there's nothing more unsexy than behaving, look John, look Jane, see me be seductive. Because remember that sexy, what is the definition of sexy? It's not good enough simply to accept the word. You got to figure out what is the word. What does the word mean? What is the action of the word? Stated 2, active verb, partner. Okay, adverbs, adjectives can be, and nouns can be put into their action. And the action of sexy is to promise you my secret. That's the best we've ever come up with. To promise you my secret. So, and you'll see that no matter when you see anybody be sexy around you, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing, right? I'm not saying if somebody's just naturally sexy just standing there, they can't help that, right? Like the woman in the Italian entry to the Foreign Language Awards this year is unbelievably beautiful and sexy. We all agreed this woman is devastating, and she can't help it. Right, okay. So, but when someone is consciously being sexy, what they're doing is to promise you my secret.
Now, is it possible that if I was a woman director talking to a guy that, you see how Craig was a little reticent to talk about what he found sexy, if the actor was reticent to talk to me about what he found sexy in a woman, how would I overcome that?
Well, by sharing. See, because you could say, what I find sexy on a guy is the back of the way his hair, the ear and the back of his neck, so, and eyelashes. I'm just hot for eyelashes. I married a man because he had thick eyelashes. And he gave me a son with thick eyelashes. So that's nice. Okay, you know, so now he feels free. See, you can expose yourself completely without ever saying anything that you really want to keep a secret. You know, it's amazing how much you can talk. Well, don't you do it in conversation? You know, you share all kinds of intimate things, but they're never anything that is really, really, really private to you. And that will give that bond. The best directors I've ever worked with are always ones that shared their life with you. And you can tell, even if you don't get what the director is saying, because of the way he or she says it, when they're talking about their own stuff, then you get it. One of the better directors I ever had in my life was a man who was getting very, very famous in live television and on the theater, and he was a wonderful director. And his name was Vincent Donahue, and then he died, you know, just as his career was. But he'd say, Nina, and you say, yes, Vinny, yes, you know. And everybody, when you talk to other people about Vinny, that was what he would do. He had this ability to, he was such an actor himself, to communicate to you by saying, and you'd say, oh, wonderful, what a good idea. So maybe you don't have to talk it, but you have to be really down deep talking about your own stuff to make it work.
So whenever you're ready.
Okay. So the baby represents my kids?
And when you go to feed them?
Black. The sins of the father.
The baby could also be you. What kind of milk did you get from your father?
Can we stop talking about my father?
That was very nice, thank you. Listen, you got to learn to keep your hands away from your face. You're hiding.
All right.
I don't care if the character's supposed to have their hands all over their face. It's you, the actor, that are hiding. You're hiding. Okay. Do you do coke?
No.
Well, then don't put your hands to your face the way you're doing. Okay? So don't put your hand, and learn not to do it in life, because it's too late to learn to do it while you're acting. You simply have to keep your hands away from your face. That's because you're trying to hide as an actor. You're embarrassed.
All right.
Right? And nobody's going to hire you. Certainly not anybody trained by me is ever going to hire you if you do that. Okay. Very good. Okay, that's something to talk about. If the actor comes in and spends time with their hands in their face, don't hire them. Because you cannot fix it on the set. Because all that's going to happen is that they're going to put their hands to their face. You're going to tell them not to put their hands to their face. And then all you're going to have is an actor who's trying to keep their hands away from their face. The fact is, if you get stuck in that situation and you find them putting their hands to their face, give them a prop, give them something to do, and then they'll have to take their hands away, right? Because it is not the character. Now, an actor who doesn't normally do it will do it for a certain character, right? Certainly, that's true. But there's a difference between the actor doing it in the part and the actor doing it because the actor is uncomfortable. And mostly, in his case, it was uncomfortable. I told him that thing about coke because I was hoping to shock him, you know, to stop it. Because, you know, unless you really are a working, serious actor, you're not going to learn that you've got to stop it in life. You cannot wait till you're on the soundstage. It's too late. Now, it seems like a silly kind of resulty thing to do, that one. But that's one of the few things where you have to talk in results. Don't put your hands to your face, right? You just have to talk in results. You certainly can't talk that way while you're doing the scene, because then it's going to be, you know, don't think of pink elephants. It simply doesn't work. When there are handles in the script, they are to be paid huge attention to. Because a well can be to gain time, because I don't know what to say next. And if it's in the script, that makes wonderful sense, right?
And the well can be very funny.
Very fun, yes, but it has to be in there, because the writer not only is the writer, but the writer also has all kinds of stuff bubbling up from inside them that tells them that that voice has a well in it, and that needs to be paid attention to, because that may be the very best part of the writer, you know, the part that he or she didn't consciously do, you know, that just happened. And then the other thing about well is it's catching. It's a very contagious disease, right? If the well starts, while one actor starts the well, the other actor will just pick that up and carry it with them if they're not in the scene properly. It's a handle. What's wrong with handles is that the emotion flies out like Hieronymus Bosch figures, you know, in the well, and there's not enough left over for the rest of the words in the sentence. And it's over. It's empty suddenly. It takes all the air out, right? The air which is filled with the emotional life of the scene. Okay. She was late. She was late again, too, but she's picking it up from him. Don't pick up the other. Now, a scene is two truths coming together and changing each other. If that is the case, we know they don't have the same tone or the same rhythm. If both actors in the scene have the same rhythm or the same tone, you know it's wrong. That's the old-fashioned way of acting meeting the new. Now, the old-fashioned way is don't take his tone, used to be what you said, which meant don't take his rhythm, don't take his tone, literally tone. But what it really means is you haven't got his truth, you've got another truth. You have to find out how you're different. Because if you shut your eyes and they sound the same, the scene's bad. If you shut your eyes, by the way, that's a very good thing to do. Watch the scene run through once and don't look at them. Shut your eyes. And if it sounds like people are real, then it's real. It's quite wonderful shutting your eyes and listening to the scene. Because, you know, otherwise you get bamboozled by those wonderful, the face of Cary Grant. I mean to say, I couldn't figure a scene out watching him. He's just, or Tom Selleck, for instance. I mean, you know, you got to shut your eyes. You can't look at these people. They're too adorable. You know, that's how come they're actors, right?
I was about to begin a film directed by my husband, Blake, entitled The Man Who Loved Women. My role required a great deal of off-screen narration, and I was not sure how to approach this task, never having done it before. I mean, how could I not sound monotonous? To whom was I speaking and in what tone? So I sought advice. Nina came highly recommended.
What are you going to talk to the narrator about? Number one, the narrator has to be in a circumstance, in a room, you know, in the park, in the bedroom, in the bathroom, in the living room, a specific place, a very specific place. Decide where that specific place is. The narrator also needs to know who his or her partner is. To whom is the narrator speaking? Is he speaking to his daughter? Is he speaking to his grandchild? Is she speaking to her mother? You know, you've got to make a whole circumstance for your narrator, even if that narrator doesn't show up ever again and is not in the script, right? And you need to break the narration down into beats in very much the same way you would if that were a character in the piece. All of this you need to do. The narrator can't begin to talk unless the narrator is asked a question. Because, again, that's the preparation for the entrance. The narrator also needs a preparation for an entrance, right? Otherwise, it's going to be refugees streaming from all corners of... See, that doesn't work. It simply doesn't work, because there's no way for them to enter. Okay, so you need to build the entire characterization of the narrator. On the whole, narrators confide. The intention of that narrator is to confide on the whole. Now, you as directors can tell the actor how you want them to do that by telling them to whom they're speaking. Certainly, if I'm speaking to Sabrina, my granddaughter, who's 2.5, I say,
How are you, Sabrina? I talk to Sabrina like that. Did you have a nice day at school? I'm going to say refugees streaming from all corners of Europe toward the freedom of the new world, That's how I'm going to do it if I'm talking to Sabrina, right? So it's going to make a huge difference in the way I deal with the material. Okay, so I'm a little wary of talking to a big crowd because you're going to get broadcasting, and there must be no broadcasting happening, and shouldn't happen in the theater either. Unless, of course, even if you say friends, Romans, countrymen, again, you have to pick 3 people to do it too. And they have to have real faces, because you know yourself when you talk to me. Well, I couldn't be teaching this class if I weren't literally looking at each one of you. But anything that you can get out of the narrator's mouth and into the scene, do. Because narration is, on the whole, is a lazy man's trick. In fact, if there's a lot of narration, I would watch out for that piece of material, because that's a problem, narration. Now, everything I say, I can give you a condition where it's not true. That just has to go without saying. But on the whole, the minute you see narration, beware. Just say, uh-oh, uh-oh. It's not dramatically that good.
That isn't a what?
A very nice thing to say.
I like your anger.
There's no there, I bet you.
No, I don't think there is.
That blew the line, blew it out of the water. It's got to be, I like your anger. Because the softens it, destroys it. It's a great line, I like your anger. It's delicious. It's wonderfully written. This is wonderfully written, this thing. Can't fool with it. It's too good. There's not a spare bone in its body, right? So that's why you have to stick with those lyrics. And if your actor comes to you and says, I could say this better and more comfortably, and the answer to that really is, and you can't say it out loud unless you really are comfortable with that actor. If you want to be comfortable, go home and go to bed. Because if the line makes the actor uncomfortable, that's probably right. That's probably what should be in that scene. And if the actor is uncomfortable, then that person hasn't figured out that line. So you have to help them to understand those words, right? Now, if after you make a concerted effort to help the actor understand it, and a concerted effort for you to understand it, you simply can't go there, then you have to give up and move on. But really, usually when something feels uncomfortable in a scene, it is because the scene is not understood, and that is the most important line in the scene. That's what the actors, and you possibly, are refusing to understand because it's too painful. So know that when something in a scene is uncomfortable, this is probably very important for you to solve so that you really understand the scene.
Your cash is good at the bar.
What? Do you know who I am?
I do. You're lucky the bar's open to you.
Manuel, what are you trying to catch a bus?
I'm sorry.
Now, if you have a table read, be sure they don't race through it like that. We've got all the time in the world. Nobody's catching a bus. We're reading for meaning. Really have the right to talk to them like a teacher in that regard. Because if they don't take the time in that table read to pay attention to their partners, to pay attention to what the scene is about, you've really wasted the time. Not that we too often get chances to have rehearsal and read-throughs and all that sort of thing, because you can't always count on that. And even if you do get read-throughs and rehearsal, It's only with the principals, because you can't afford the other people. They're not going to come in for it because they'll have to be paid. You know, there's all those things. So there's very little of that that goes on, much less than they seem to talk about, because the directors that you hear about that get interviewed are already the big A directors that are given the time to do all of that. And it's interesting, so often directors are given the time to rehearse and they never use it because the stars have wardrobe fittings or they're doing photography, you know, stills for the picture and one thing and another. And so you can never get the people in the same room together. So it's really wasted. So don't rely on it. I mean, it's wonderful stuff if you know how to use it. Now, Sidney Lumet, in his book, have we all read that, or are we all going to? Making Movies. It's a good book. He talks about going to rehearsal unprepared and everything. You can't do that. He can do that because he was a working actor at the age of 4, and he's been doing it all his life. And he's a wonderful director, and I did something with Walter Matthau with him. I mean, and Sidney's an old friend of mine. He's a wonderful director. But he flies it by the seat of his pants because he's been doing it so long that he knows what he's doing. Okay. Okay, now we're doing this in a more cursory way than I do it with directors when they're on a project, you know, when we sit down. We could spend a couple of hours more on that scene, you know, discussing every possible permutation of it. What if, you know, what if we didn't do that? What if we, and just to completely understand the best situation you can get when I've had this wonderful chance. We've all agreed that it's tremendous. If you can get the writer to sit in on these conferences, you know, in the breakdown, it's just wonderful, wonderful, because by the time you come on the set, you really have worked over every single second of the material. That requires that you have people whose egos are not ill. You have to have a real healthy ego because nothing matters but the work. You've always got to remember, nothing matters but if you feel stuff, you know, bubbling up in you that might get in the way of the work, remind yourself, nothing matters but the work. I don't matter, he doesn't matter, she doesn't matter, nothing matters but the work. The work is all, right? And then you can keep a happy set and do your work in the best possible way. If I'm directing, I let you do the rehearsal, the first rehearsal your way, right? And if it's satisfactory, fine. Otherwise, I'm going to have to talk you into some other things that have a reason, and usually it's a very concrete reason because I've done all the homework and I can tell you why I want you to do it differently. That is why, if you have an intuition about the part, it's no good to you unless you ask yourself, why did I feel that? And figure out the why of it. I mean, the material tells you what it wants, tells you what you want to do with it, right? I don't have the obligation to be creative. The material tells me. See, what happens is then it filters through me, and since I'm not worried about me and what I'm going to, it'll just happen. You know, then it becomes what you bring to it, what your life experience and your genes and whatever your DNA bring to it. You know what I mean? The script is telling me everything, and I'm filtering it through myself, and I will come up with an answer that is based on myself, really, and that script. You know, I always say as actors, when you're old enough to do it, you're too old to be photographed. That tends to be the truth of it. Right? We get these young people who really don't know what they're doing, and you get a director who can make that happen, right? By coaching them. So you need to know the actor's craft a lot better than most of you do. I find that directors don't know the actor's craft, and they talk to you. You can't believe what's coming out of their mouth. Now, fortunately, I'm well enough trained so I can translate that into something that's useful to me. But if I weren't, it would hurt me if I were a neophyte and young enough to be photographed, right, I would hear this information and deal with it in that manner, and you as a director wouldn't get what you wanted if you had talked to me the wrong way, if you spoke to me in results and things like that. Be sad, be happy. But if you talk to me like that, you're going to screw me up, right? Okay, so you need to know how you should talk to me. Yes, Norm?
And on the day when you start working with it, should you have basically, you don't have the script in your hand at that time, you should have incorporated it and let
Yeah, you should
everything
know.
sink into your brain?
You should be able the night before any shoot the next day, you should be able to lie down in bed with your eyes closed in the dark and play the scenes.
Basically a photographic image of everything that you...
Yeah, you should have blocked it in your mind because you will have talked already to the DP, you know, when you did a walk around with the DP about what you want from that scene and how you see it laying out. Now, that doesn't mean that when you get there, they're not going to, the actors may give you something different, you know. But it's very easy to change from something. It's very hard to change from, to start with nothing. Changing with a plan, that way you got a good night's sleep the night before because you had a plan. You're ready. You're ready if anybody asks you anything. You have some, you know, you don't have to think about it. Now from that, if somebody changes, oh, that's better, then you can say. You're in a position, you feel strong enough to do that. And a lot of things change because the actor brings something better that you hadn't even thought of. Oh, that's wonderful. And of course, everybody knows if you didn't do your homework. Honey, we all know. You can't fool with that. Within 5 minutes, we've caught you. Certainly actors will have caught you. See, actors want to have daddy or mommy to protect them. They want to be able to play in that field. And you know, children, it's easier for them to play if they know where they can't go. They know you can play in this park, you're free to do what you want, but you must not go in the street, it's easier to play then. And you need, I can't remember the last time I actually got some direction. It's so rare that anybody does the job right. Now, so all of this is not just to help us actors, because it helps you too. You need to know so you can be able to say, it is, and there, and etc. And as for rehearsal, you don't always have that. Don't get the idea that you're going to have rehearsal your whole life.
So what you're saying then is all that work is stuff you do before.
Yeah.
And then you
all of this work is stuff you do, and most of it never gets said out loud. It's just you need it. You need to start from somewhere. You can't wait till on the day to start thinking about this stuff, right? So you need to do all this work ahead of time.
So if you're with an actor, let's say, and you feel like some of these things that you've done are going to help them.
You only do that after you see that he didn't figure it out himself.
And are there ways to make the actor kind of come to the realization themselves, to kind of feed them, to boost their confidence, or is it better just to be direct?
Well, professionals do all this work at home. They do all this work.
But if you're not getting a performance from someone...
Then you correct the beats that are wrong. Yeah, don't go any further than you have to. Don't start showing off how much you know. You don't want to do that. Don't give all your cards away. Now, if somebody swallows their lines like that, you know, that's partially her fault. She just wasn't playing the scene. She wasn't partnering. And it doesn't mean raising your voice. It means dealing with your partner. Very often when sound tells you, I can't hear, sound shouldn't be talking to the actors, sound needs to talk to you, right? I'm sure you know that. You don't want to tell them to speak up. You need to remind them where they are. Frequently, in that case, it was to remind him where he was. If you reminded him that he was in a restaurant, so he needed to speak up. That you can say, because it's about the restaurant, right? But you can't arbitrarily tell someone to speak up, because then the scene will be about this actor speaking up. And that's not what you want.
said he thought Graham had gotten strange. Is he? Strange, I mean?
Now you go over here and we play an entire scene which is mostly dialogue from the person that's not on camera. That can't be. So it would be very easy. Move the goddamn bed over so it's closer to the closet so you can get the two of them in the shot. The furniture is movable. Furniture is movable. I think I'm going to get a sign and put it across my chest. Furniture is movable. Maybe at some class somewhere somebody's going to get that, you know. Okay.